There are so many developments going on with the 7.3 patch, but don't worry, this weekly is going to be free of spoilers and professionalism. Hey, it's Soul. It's July 7th, 2017. This is Warcraft Weekly.
Let's get dangerous.
Yep, I did it. How was your week, everyone? I hope that all of you have had a good time. My week was, well, especially busy with all this patch stuff coming out. The 4th of July going on Tuesday. Thursday we had to do like a raid, and I got like this weird weapon corrupted hammer thing that's a little bit too small, but that's okay. This weekend, I know this kind of counts towards next week, but whatever, I'm like way too excited about it. I'm gonna be watching the Hamilton show, and I'm super excited about that, obviously. I'm gonna be watching Spider-Man on Monday. I'm gonna have a really good weekend. I hope that I enjoy everything. But as always, I'd love to hear from you, just how your week was. Share your wins, share your losses. No contest. I just love to hear from you and have a short conversation with you. And I just like to share some things, not everything. By the way, I know the thumbnail pretty much talked about just 7.3 stuff, so if you want to skip all this crap that I'm talking about, skip right to that. Go right on ahead. I'll leave a link somewhere there, you know. A quick PSA, Burning Crusade time walking is happening next week. And you know what that means? That means Black Temple time walking is coming next week as well. After talking about it a little bit with the guild, we decided that we're going to schedule next Tuesday, the very first day of time walking, as our kind of guild run. But I'm going to extend that invite to pretty much anyone that happens to be on stream at the time. It's going to be going on Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Just get onto the stream over at Twitch TV/me, you know. Link's going to be below and all that. Just give me your battle tag. I'll get you in. Let's all have a good time. I myself haven't been to I haven't been to Black Temple when it was relevant, so I don't know jack about it. And I know that a couple of my guildies do, but you know, they've done it, so they're probably going to be running the raid and otherwise guiding me through and helping me not be a dumbass. But if you guys want to join in, feel free. I'd love to have you. Or if you just want to come in and watch and comment and talk about how shitty of a tank that I am, not just on current content, but on time walking content, hey, go ahead. Otherwise, talk with your teams, talk with your friends. Try to set some time aside. It's only going to be around for 1 week, and then after that, who the hell knows when it's going to come back. But so try to take your time to complete it so you can get some of those snazzy transmog stuffs. On top of that, the gear that drops is equivalent to Tumas Argeir's normal gear. So for some folks like me who are trying to fill out certain slots, you know, with better stats or what have you, hey, go for it. The world first race is still going on, with Method so far in the lead at 8 of 9, but just recently Exorcist got to 8 of 9 as well. Trailing at third is US Guild Limit, along with pretty much everyone else that I'm seeing at 7 of 9. Oops, I did it again. Twice now. The race is heating up, and I'm as excited as anyone who's waiting for, like, I don't know, the next pope to be chosen, just like last time. The third round of BlizzCon tickets went on sale on Wednesday, and then they were gone, like, in what, 20 seconds? Like 20 seconds or so? I don't know, something really fast. Congratulations to everyone who was able to score tickets for themselves or for their team or for their friends and family and so on, or for their scalping empire. Of course, you can watch the streaming version of BlizzCon live for considerably less money and get considerably fewer panels to watch, but, well, you get what you get. One thing that you don't get is PowCon. That's just the gathering of me and my guildies over at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, and we get hecka full, and then we go back to the room, and then we have this blue drink, and it's really good. But we're, you know, I hope everyone has a good time at BlizzCon, whether you're going to be going there or if you're going to be hanging out at home or on your toilet. So let's finally get to the 7.3 build. And before I start, like I said at the very beginning, that this is going to be a spoiler-free sort of thing. One bit of news to note, though, is that Wowhead was able to get certain information that basically spoils the rest of the expansion. We know, you know, unless we're getting trolled or unless there's going to be like massive changes that are going to be made, we pretty much know how the expansion ends at this point. It kind of sucks that we know now, but hey, it's kind of cool that we can start looking forward to the future, and I'll be talking about the future just a little bit. But you can count on maybe next week or in the next coming weeks, I'm going to be talking a very spoiler-filled sort of like speculation, or just kind of like how, you know, my thoughts on the overall story of Legion and how that's been delivered, and whether or not it sucked, and of course what to look forward to. Speaking of what to look forward to, you might have seen certain images going around on MMO Champion and Wowhead and what have you about a certain like armor set that comes from a certain kingdom called Kul'Tiras. Kul'Tiras, as you may or may not know, is an island nation. This is run by, oh, I forget who it's run by now, but Jaina Proudmoore is probably there. And it's curious, very curious, that we're seeing someone such as, we're seeing armor such as this, with a naming convention such as this, pop up. There's a lot of speculation that Kul'Tiras is going to be involved in the next expansion. So people are already talking about the South Seas, and the Naga, and the Zoth, and what have you. Whether or not that's going to happen, who the hell knows? So what do you think? Do you think we are going to go there? Do you think that, maybe Kul'Tiras is going to be involved, but it's not necessarily going to be an expansion that revolves around the Naga and the old gods? Maybe it'll just veer off to a completely different story, kind of like how Mists of Pandaria turned out, where it's like, okay, where are we going next? Oh, we're going to Pandaland. What? And of course, think what you want on that, but it does mean that Blizzard can and did kind of veer off into Pandaland, or just a really far out story, something totally fresh and kind of brand new, just as kind of a way to prolong the expansion. Because despite the argument, I know I kind of shit on this argument a lot, despite the argument of, hey, let's find a way to prolong subscribers and stuff like that. Well, one way to do it is to stretch the story out a little bit, and this is one way that Blizzard can do it. I talked a little bit earlier about rifts and greater rifts that are coming in 7.3. I asked you folks if you cared, and well, I'm just going to share a couple of thoughts from you folks. Josh M says, well, it's official now, WoW has become Diablo 3 fused together, LOL. Tribe Gaming says that I think with the rifts it'll be different. Some of us don't play Diablo, so seeing this will be different and fun. Ivani Collect says, I thought Diablo rifts were already in WoW, they were just named Mythic Plus. Either way, I like the idea, hope it plays well, and isn't just another boring scenario you get bored of within 2 days. Baneleaf says that his give a shit meter is at about 5. I do look forward to new game features, but I do not play Diablo for a reason, being that it is just a grind fest each time you try to play. So clearly people have kind of mixed thoughts about it. Based on the data mined information, and again, this is data mined information, we don't know what's actually going to be implemented or even what's testable right now. It seems that each of these rifts that I had talked about, like the fire one, the jungle one, or forest one and what have you, each of them are going to have at least 2 scenario-like things attached to them. We're still not quite sure like how many players are going to be involved. There seem to be weird numbers that indicate up to 20 players, which I kind of doubt, but we'll just have to see to believe. I mean, we can only judge so much based on just text and data mined information. We'll just have to wait till it's testable and see if it's any fun. One potentially devastating piece of information that's coming out of 7.3 are a bunch of new profession items that are coming, both gathering stuff as well as crafted stuff. Now again, this is all non-testable content, so I can't really speak too much of it, but it does make me worry a little bit, because this is the first time, or okay, maybe it's not the first time, but it's been a while since we've introduced brand new materials that create brand new stuff. And I'm not just talking about rare materials, I'm talking about stuff that you essentially have to gather, like ore and herbs. In my opinion, depending on the market, this could have huge implications. At least so far with alchemy, there's only certain kinds of potions that are being made, mostly healing and mana potions. Nothing like cooldown potions, at least not from what I saw yet. But if there are going to be things like that, that's pretty much going to negate all the gathering that's been done previously. We do see that there are new pieces of armor that you can make with these materials. They have an item level of only 885, which is kind of a good thing, because that means, well, they suck and that they're not very useful. But if maybe in a later build that they do add Obliterum upgrades to them, then that could cause, well, more potentially devastating effects to the previous markets that people have been working on since the start of Legion. Now, don't get in too much of a panic yet, because we're not exactly sure everything that's going on, but I'd love to hear your thoughts as to, well, what are your initial thoughts on it right now? I'm kind of anxious about it. I'm a little bit nervous. Again, if certain things like alchemy aren't affected by it, and previous markets and their resources will still apply, then cool, I'm not going to mind it so much. But if so, if we do see some sort of slope where, you know, we see what's basically an entire economic reset in the last patch of an expansion, damn, that could be pretty impactful, I think. There's a new legendary that's going to come out. It's going to come in the form of a ring, and as for what this ring does, we're not quite sure yet. It interacts with an item or a feature called the Netherlight Crucible, and we don't know a lot of information about it at all, other than it lets us do something about customizing the relics on our artifact weapons. Presumably, this ring will enhance the power of this Netherlight Crucible to do whatever the heck that it does. Now, because it's tied so closely together with another feature, part of me thinks that this is going to be a free-ish kind of legendary, but I said the same thing about the class-related rings, and I was clearly wrong. So we'll just have to kind of... Well, I'm not going to hold my breath on it, we'll just have to wait and see. The first round of tier bonuses are out, and you can take a look at them on MMO Champion or Wowhead or whatever the heck website that you use. I'm not going to link them here, I'm not going to talk about very many of them because one, not all of them are implemented, and two, well, it's just going to be like way too early to really talk or rate about them. But to just kind of give you an idea of what's going on, of course, I'm going to be talking about Protection Paladins. This tier bonus is all about Judgment, which is a very signature thing that a Protection Paladin does. The 2-piece bonus converts a percentage of judgment damage into a heal onto us. The 4-piece bonus makes it so that any attack that we block will give us a certain stack, and depending on the number of stacks, that's going to enhance our judgment damage by a certain amount. And these stacks can only build up once every couple of seconds. So far, I think it kind of sucks. As of right now, Paladin self-healing, in my opinion at least, is doing just fine. We already have our kind of emergency heal with the Light Up Protector, and we already dampen damage with our Bulwark of the Order whenever we throw our little Captain America shield. Adding Judgment on top of that feels a little bit redundant, and while we get a nice little power boost out of it, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a whole lot. I mean, I'd rather have something that helps to mitigate damage even more, as opposed to just healing damage that we're already taking. But those are just my thoughts right now. Of course, I'm going to have a 7.3 video for Protection Paladins where I talk about all the changes, because there are little tiny changes that are already kind of happening, but I'm not going to talk about them yet because it's way too early to get into that, but stay tuned. I'm only going to talk about one more thing today. It's kind of a big thing, but just one more thing, because I know that there's so much 7.3 stuff that's going on. But I don't want to overwhelm myself or you guys with all this information, but don't worry, I'm going to be kind of piecemealing it together so it comes in a nice, healthy digestion so you don't get, you know, all fat and bloated, right? Artifact knowledge is going to go through a pretty big change in 7.3. Now, supposedly, we don't know this absolutely for sure, but it seems to be a pretty strong, yes, that everybody that is at max level is going to be immediately boosted to artifact knowledge level 41 for free, instantly. No work orders, no nothing. On top of that, each week all characters everywhere pretty much are going to get 1 knowledge level. So obviously this has a lot of implications. One, you don't have to worry about work orders anymore. The whole thing about using the tomes and getting yourself boosted and having to trade this book down to alt and all that stuff is going away. You know, day one, everyone is knowledge 41. Ta-da! The NPC that you're used to talking to about taking care of your work orders, he pretty much acknowledges that everyone's kind of working together in order to, you know, up everyone's knowledge level. So you're just going to get one level per week. So this removes a good bit of the micromanagement that was involved. And to be honest, it was kind of menial at this point because one, we have so many order resources that are available to us now. Well, let me take that back. Let me slow that down. Many of us have an abundance of order hall resources that we can kind of spread across tunes and what have you between, you know, books as well as trading in resources for blood and then, you know, doing that whole conversion. It sort of made the knowledge leveling process and the catch-up stuff a little redundant, maybe a lot of redundant. So taking that bit of micromanagement out of the equation feels pretty good. This also effectively slows down our knowledge level gains. Instead of 5 days for our mains to gain a level, now it's 7. Of course, we don't have to think about it anymore, so this is simply just a natural catch-up mechanism that happens over time. Of course, this brings up one of my favorite arguments to shoot down. Why even play the game anymore when I could just wait for our knowledge levels to go up to X amount and then I can just, you know, level up very quickly? Or the other favorite argument, what about all the work that I did previously and now all these lazy asses will just be able to boost themselves all the way up to 41, you know, instantly. They'll be able to get caught up and they'll be at my level, and they shouldn't be at my level. They should stay down there. It's like, why should people be rewarded for not playing the game? That's not right. People should be able to earn their shit through hard work like I did. Now, even though I disagree with that very, very much, I'm not going to be able to shake people out of that mindset at all. That's a mindset that exists well outside of video games. That's kind of human nature. But keeping this in the context of WoW, it's like, come on, dude. Do you really want a situation where it's like you like you and your team want to play video games, you want to raid or do whatever, you're trying to fill out your team, and someone is, you know, that you got a brand new guy, it's like, cool, you want to get him up, but you got to wait for him. in order you have to wait for them to get, I don't know, 40 to 5 days of work orders done in order to get a sufficient knowledge level in order to compete or to play at a similar level to you guys. That kind of sucks. It's not unlike how things were before in like Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King, where it's like, hey, you want to get your new buddy into the raid? Cool. The entire team's got to go with them in order to farm the old raids, to move them up, in order to get the gear that they need, in order to play, to finally start progressing together. There's a certain value in that. Yes, it promotes teamwork, promotes camaraderie, but it's a little frustrating too, and I don't think that can be disputed because we're just arguing feelings, and everyone's right when it comes to arguing feelings. And I know this is kind of unrelated, but should I be mad that I had played through, 12 or so years of WoW, and I'm really mad that I had to pay for dual talent specialization, and now people that play Legion, they don't have to pay for that. Grr, I'm so mad because they didn't have to suffer through what I went through. As a personal critique and a bit of feedback, I guess that this whole universal knowledge level game thing that Blizzard is going to implement in 7.3, this is something that people have asked from pretty much the onset when it came to catch-up mechanisms and the need to switch from alt to alt in order to get caught up with each other. And this is before the knowledge books existed. Critics wanted a region-wide or a worldwide knowledge level to basically serve as the catch-up mechanism for people. All in all, this is just kind of one more thing to add to the pile of reasons that overall the artifact system was, it was well-intentioned, as I've always said, but it's also been very inelegant with its actual implementations. Yes, Blizzard has iterated and reiterated and refreshed and did all sorts of things to make the system work. So I'm kind of glad that Blizzard was at least adaptable enough to respond to player criticisms and, kind of steer the ship in certain directions to make this thing work. I, for one, am not going to miss artifacts when they're gone, but I am looking forward to what other sort of progression system is going to come in the future. I'm hoping that you guys are gonna hate me for this one. I'm hoping that there's something that's kind of similar to knowledge levels, but it's not tied to a slotted piece of gear. It's not gonna be tied to our weapon. Maybe it'll just be, like what people have talked about with the original Path of the Titan system. They'll just have basically another system of progression that just isn't tied to equipment. Just like with anything and everything that Blizzard does, Blizzard will take certain components of things that they feature in an expansion, and you're bound to see it in a future expansion in some way, shape, or form. That's what will happen with garrisons, that's what happened with scenarios. So I'm very much looking forward to the future. I'm actually quite happy after looking at all these different spoilers and all this lore information. I'm pretty happy with all that stuff too, so you can look forward to me commentating on things like that and so many other things in future videos. So I want to thank all of you for once again letting me be a part of your day. I want to thank my patrons for all the continued supports. I really, really appreciate your contributions. They're the bread and butter that's not just going to keep the lights on, but what's going to make this channel and this brand even better. Of course, I invite you all to be a patron too, but more than anything, I encourage you to support me the best way that you know how. Like this or any other video that you actually like, be a part of the conversation down in the comments below. Of course, subscribe for more content and for streams and whatever the heck contest that I'm doing. Or just watch, enjoy the content, maybe leave some feedback every now and then, because that always helps. So that's it for me today. Thank you once again. You guys have a terrific weekend. I will. And I'll see you later. I'm Soul. Stay breezy, guys. Do 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 do.